Hey Rocket Racers, what's going on? I've got many questions over the past few days about certain key mechanics that have got me to the rank of Unreal. And maybe you're stuck Platinum, or Diamond, or Elite, or Champion, and struggling to get to that next rank. Well, this is the video for you. First things first, I'm going to assume that you clicked on this video because you already know the ins and outs of all the basic mechanics, like drifting and drafting and air dodging. Boosting and building up your boost are all things that we're going to assume that you already know. We're going to talk about mechanics such as tilting, chain drifting, air drifting, as I like to call it, boost management, and different key aspects to map knowledge. But before we get to all those different mechanics, I want to make sure that we're on the same page here. In order to do a mechanic like air drifting, or whatever the kids are calling it, you want to make sure that you have unbound and switched rocket drift and air dodge. In order to do this mechanic, which we're going to learn later in the video, rocket drift has to be on a different button than air dodge. It doesn't have to. People will tell you that you can do it if they're bound to the same button, but this will allow you to jump, hold your drift, as well as dodge all in the same motion. I like to have mine rocket drift on RB. If you are on mouse and keyboard, this doesn't really apply to you because I believe they're different buttons anyways. If you're on PlayStation, I would put my rocket drift on R1 or, whatever button you're comfortable with. Make sure that that rocket drift goes on that button somewhere, hopefully on the back of your controller, which will make it a lot easier. It's just much more comfortable and it makes drifting and jumping that much more simple. All right, the first mechanic that I've got a lot of questions about is tilting. Now we're gonna be on tilted turnpike for a lot of this, but if you don't tilt your car, you'll notice that it just goes level. In order to make this gap, we can't. Not at that speed. So let's go take this same gap, but this time we're gonna tilt our joystick down and fly. And you can see that I achieved a much greater distance. So again, if you're going over this jump, you just make sure you hold down on the joystick and you'll see our nose is pointed right to the ceiling and we can easily make that jump. So the opposite action will happen if you point your nose down. So you hold up and you're gonna nose dive and you can see we didn't make it very far at all. So again, one more time at 570. So 570 kph. You can see flying this gap is no problem at all. So this allows you to fly farther, do a few different things with the car that you might not have been able to do by enabling yourself to fly much farther. All right, we just covered tilt. Next mechanic we're just going to cover is chain drifting. So we all know how to drift, right? You're going to hold down your drift button, a direction, and you're going to drift like this, correct? Drift, drift, and then you're going to straighten out and you will catch your drift. But in order to build up more boost, you can chain it together. Swing that tail out and around, right? Out and around. And the easiest way to do this is to hold your drift button as you steer in the opposite direction. So we're just gonna snake around. Every time I'm changing my direction, I'm holding my drift button, which, if you've already changed your bindings, makes it much, much easier by having them unbound. Super useful. It's really good for building up a lot of boost, and obviously the farther that you have the boost button or the boost built up at the bottom, the longer that turbo and more powerful that turbo is going to be. So chain drifting. To recap, just get your slide going one way, hold the drift the other way, and you'll get that tail swinging all around. I'm just on day drifting, and that's where I recommend you just practicing that a whole bunch, because this will unlock a whole lot of different opportunities for you in terms of consistently having a higher average speed around a circuit, which ultimately allows you to go faster and do a lot of different things around the circuit that you might not have been able to do before. All right, here we are back at day drifting to cover another key mechanic that is going to help you reach those ranks that you're gunning for. We just went over chain drifting, right? Chain drifting, boom, boom, boom. But I've got so many questions. Blair, how do you hold your drift in the air? How do you do it? How do you do it? I just can't seem to do it. 1, make sure your keybinds are set appropriately. 2, you're gonna get into your drift. You're gonna hold your drift and jump. All right, let's slow that down. You're gonna be drifting. You're gonna hold your drift button and jump. Jump, just keep on holding that button and we're just gonna keep on jumping. This is what I would do to practice. Once you straighten out, you're gonna lose it. But boom, there we go. Just like that. Just make sure you just keep on holding that drift button. So you can do something like this, right? One thing to note is that when you're drifting and you hold your drift and push A, your car is gonna stay in this angle until you come out of it. Right, so you see we're always in that angle. And now, because our keybinds are unbound, we can drift, hold the button, and then dodge as well. Right, so I think the kids are calling it slaloming or skating. Something like that. Skating, I think is what the kids are calling it. But that is the ins and outs of holding your drift in the air. Again, we're gonna go into our slide, hold drift, and jump. And then when you land, you're gonna be able to have it back ready to go. But that is, in a nutshell, air drifting, or whatever you might want to call it. All right, so now you might be asking, Blair, I know how to air drift, but where is this going to be helpful? Well, there might be a few spots now that might open up to you in terms of where it might be useful. So here's a track outpost. There's a little shortcut there, right? Let's just go back. There's this little shortcut here. Let me turn around. All right, we're gonna turn around. And there's this shortcut. You can hit this shortcut, you can jump here, and go over this edge. Right? And that's good. That's a good shortcut. You land here perfectly, no problem. But because you haven't accumulated any boost, you're gonna land and you're gonna be at 570. What if you had accumulated some boost and then hit that shortcut? Watch this. All right, we're coming through here. 1, we're gonna chain drift, get an angle, hold, and cut this whole section off, land, boom. Right, we just got our boost. All right, we're gonna use a couple mechanics here. We're gonna chain drift. So swing out left, right, swing hard, and then jump, and then we will cut this off, and then straighten out and get a really, really nice exit out of there. All right. Chain drift through here, boom. Look at all that speed you're carrying now. Crazy, right? One thing to note on drifting. You're going through this tricky section of outpost. You're drifting, you're about to hit something, you want to snap that sucker back. Boom, snap it back. Boom, snap it back. Snap it back. Now, in order to do that, it's just a little extra tip I'm going to throw in here. When you're drifting to the right, if you hit your chain drift back to the left, but don't hold it all the way, you're just going to snap back straight and you're going to get exit out of that drift. Does that make sense? All right, so we just snap back. Instead of holding it and making sure that our drift goes all the way to the other side, like this, you're just gonna snap it back and get out of that drift. All right, so we'll just take this section one more time. Snap it, boom, snap it, boom, snap it, and snap it. And that way, you can keep your minimum speed up. This game is all about minimum speed. It's all about minimum speed. All right, so we're back at Tilted Turnpike. Tilted Turnpike is a little cheeky little shortcut that you may have seen a few people take. You're gonna ride up here, however you want to do it. Come down to the ground, and you see that there's a little gap here. A little gap between this tree and the gate and the barrier. All right, so if we take all our skills that we've just learned throughout this video, put them all together, we can carry a real nice drift through here, cut that corner, land over there, and continue flowing through this race. All right, so let's see what this looks like at speed. All right, so what's gonna look like? You're gonna want to get a drift going. Boom, turn our car, and then jump, hold it, boom. Max speed right out of there. Gonna even incorporate a little bit of tilt in there. All right, a little bit of tilt, help us gain that gap. All right, one more time, we're gonna use our chain drift that we've learned, right? Get a nice angle, hold the drift, boost, go right under the tree, land, and out we go. Tilt up, look at that. Carried a lot of speed, So I'll have a video coming out soon going over the advanced, intricate little sections of all these tracks that I'm talking about right now. So we can go through, nitpick where all these little extra mechanics are gonna help you obtain those extra ranks that we're looking for. So now we've covered chain drifting, air drifting, drift cancel, tilting. These are all advanced key mechanics to hopefully help you reach the rank that you are gunning for. Now, all these advanced mechanics are awesome. They're super powerful in races. But a couple key things that we need to keep in mind are boost management. When to use your boost, when to not use your boost. And that all comes with map knowledge. Now I have a couple videos. I got a video on advanced tracks and expert tracks that should be appearing on the screen now. Click on one of those to go over different boost spots, all the shortcuts of these maps for a consistent path. And don't forget, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel for more awesome content. Peace.